The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, we'll do a quick sound check. If you can hear Scott and I.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good? All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is Scott Pastel.
And I'm Daniel.
And together, we are giving tonight's presentation. Well, thank you. Thank you for being on here. Over the next hour, we're going to have some time to educate, maybe humor a little, go into a lot of detail on really opening up the curtain behind how the Marshall-Reddick mentoring system works. It's been a pretty well-known system for several decades. Those of you maybe who have just found us recently and are new to Marshall-Reddick, well, it's good. It's a great thing to mention that our mentoring, our advisement, our education is all completely free. Those of you who have been with us for many years have, I'm sure, benefited tremendously from the free advice and education that we provide to beginning, intermediate, and advanced investors. So during tonight's presentation, which is actually a new presentation recently put together by Daniel, myself, and some of our staff, we call this a workshop because we're actually going to be going through examples of investors, a couple different scenarios, and how the whole process works from very beginning to all the way through growing a portfolio and having properties under management. So really excited to have you on the presentation, and yeah, we're going to just jump right into it. We are recording as well too, so we'll make sure that everybody on tonight's presentation receives the recording. Like we always like to do in the beginning, just kind of introduce who and what Marshall-Reddick Real Estate is. We have this slide on here because we want to make sure that everybody knows exactly what we do, how we're different from other companies, and also to explain that our services and products deal directly in the acquisition and sales of real estate, along with property management, and then also being a licensed mortgage lender. So Marshall-Reddick holds broker's licenses in several different states. We do also have an NMLS license, which means that we provide private financing for individuals who are unable to get conventional financing. And then in all 16 of our markets, we have property management in place. So Marshall-Reddick is a one-stop shop for real estate investors, covering sales, leasing, management, maintenance, and then of course what we're going over tonight is the education and the planning of how this whole process works. So I'm going to introduce Daniel in a couple minutes, but for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am the VP of Property Management at Marshall-Reddick. This is Scott speaking. I've been with Marshall-Reddick now full-time for almost 14 years. Had my real estate license since 2010 and own several investment properties of my own, where I'm really going to come in, and my main role is really going over how the property management works once a client purchases a property with Marshall-Reddick and what the next steps are. So how do we handle the maintenance and repairs? How do we handle the advertising and leasing, screening and background checks to essentially complete this process? Daniel's role as an advisor is to kind of start from the very beginning, just, somebody who's looking to invest, maybe doesn't know where, what, when, or how, all the way through the process of looking at properties, analyzing different markets, going through financing, and really just educating our clients through the process until they purchase a property and work with one of our realtors in one of our respective markets. And then after that process, our property management comes in. So I'll be talking more about property management towards the end of the presentation. But Daniel is going to be our main speaker tonight. And this is exciting. As I mentioned, this is the first time that we've actually gone through investment scenarios and actual consultations and how this whole process works to figure out exactly what properties, what markets, and what types of returns you can expect on buying investment property with Marshall-Reddick. So Daniel is sitting right next to me. He's one of our full-time real estate advisors, And day in and day out, Daniel talks to probably 20, 30, or 40 different clients in all different stages of the process. So I'm going to hand it over to Daniel and let him take it from here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott, for the introduction, and thank you all of our Reddick clients for being on the webinar tonight. We're really excited to have you, really excited to introduce this new topic. Tonight's going to be maybe a little different for some of you who've attended our webinars or events before. It's going to be a little interactive, show you some examples of exactly what it means to work with us here at Reddick. A little bit about myself. I've been with Reddick Real Estate since 2016, and like Scott had mentioned, worked directly with clients in helping them identify both their short-term and their long-term goals, identifying markets that meet their criteria and are going to help them achieve those goals, regardless of their investment experience or where they are in life. Every investor is different. Every one of you has a different return or quantifiable goal that you're looking to achieve, and together we can work to, like I said, achieve that depending on where you are. So before I started at Reddick Real Estate, I was in contracting and development. I actually got my bachelor's in finance. And so I own 2 properties myself. I've built homes. I've helped investors buy homes, sell homes. So my experience is really comprehensive, and it really is a pleasure working with other individuals and helping them, achieve success through real estate investing, much like I've been able to do as well, and many of us in the office have been able to do. So what does it mean to work with us at Reddick and work directly with an advisor? It really starts very candidly through open conversation, getting to know exactly why you're looking to invest in real estate. Like I had mentioned, each and every one of you on this webinar currently has a reason they are on the webinar. Whether you want cash flow, whether you're looking for appreciation, whether you have money burning a hole essentially in your bank account and not providing the return that you're looking for. Or maybe you have it in the stock market and it's not providing the return you're looking for. Maybe you're looking to diversify. So in working together in our initial conversations, the most important thing for myself is to understand your why. What are you looking to gain out of investing in real estate? And then we're going to look, once we know what you want to accomplish, we need to evaluate how you're going to accomplish those goals. Not everyone has long established work history or all the savings to put the down payment on an investment property immediately. Not everyone can qualify for conventional financing. So we'll work around there's multiple ways to qualify, and there's multiple ways, different types of financing available to investors. Some of you are cash investors. Some of you have equity in properties you already own. So we'll take a look at every option, including your retirement accounts, if you'd like to invest with those, because you can invest in real estate with those. We'll look at every option that you have, and we'll determine which makes the most sense for you. Time frame, of course, is important as well, especially for those of us who are new to real estate investing, haven't invested before. We're not going to go out and start writing offers tomorrow. There's a lot of due diligence that comes along with investing in real estate. Doing our due diligence on the market that makes the most sense to us, on the type of property that makes the most sense, and on the specific property that you end up moving forward with. There's a level of due diligence that we'll be doing as well. So this is slow and steady wins the race, getting all the ducks in the row, making sure that we're in a position to invest, and making sure that we take advantage of all the education and mentoring that we can in order to invest in the property that ultimately meets those short and long-term goals like we had discussed. So what and where go a little bit hand in hand. because again, they go back to what you're looking to achieve in real estate. If you're looking for cash flow specifically, well, there's markets, a couple of which we're going to talk about tonight, like Southwest Florida, like Clarksville and Oak Grove, that are most suitable for cash flow. And then there's markets like San Antonio, Texas, that are a lot better suited for clients looking specifically for appreciation. So where is going to be dependent on the types of returns that you may be looking for. What is also going to be dependent on the types of returns. For example, if you're looking for cash flow, multifamily properties may be more suitable to your portfolio. Or maybe you are a first-time investor, want to start a little smaller, get your feet wet, better understand the process and everything that owning real estate investments entails, and maybe you want to stick with a single-family home. And we'll talk about which makes the most sense according to you specifically as an investor. And once we have all of that set, we discuss all of those. I know exactly what you're looking to achieve. We discuss how it's going to happen, how we're going to finance and afford it. And we talk about which markets, what types of properties makes the most sense for you. Really, the most important piece of the puzzle here is introducing you as your advisor to all your key players. Key players in a real estate transaction can include myself as your advisor, of course, your lender, your regional rep. So Marsh Reddick Real Estate, we're in 16 markets across the country, in 7 states, and in each one of those markets, we have a regional rep who serves as your buyer's agent, representing you exclusively as your boots on the ground, a local expert, essentially. We have a property manager in all of our markets who manage portfolios of Marshall Reddick clients' properties, who we will introduce you to as well, and Scott's going to talk a lot more towards the end of the presentation about exactly what a property manager does. But we like to say here that where you buy is not necessarily as important as who you work with. Because to invest in real estate, it requires a team, and it requires a carefully vetted team and an experienced team. And in every single one of our markets, we have reliable, experienced professionals who help our clients essentially acquire, and I'll go back to it again, the property that fits their goals. One of the first places we start, especially after an initial conversation, is with the property rating ebook. This is a free PDF. You can access it directly off our website, and after towards the end of the presentation, you'll all have my contact information, and I'll be following up afterwards as well, especially tomorrow. And for any of you who would like a PDF sent directly to them, or who would simply like the link from our website, just let me know. But this is one of the most important documents you could possibly read in terms of investing in real estate. And the great part is it's completely free on our website. But this book goes hand in hand with evaluating investment property, especially on our website. And it's going to help you, like it says right there on the cover, choose the best real estate investments for your personal goals. And it's going to explain what's important to look at in identifying markets and investment property and what's not so important. And in reading this book and having initial conversations with an advisor such as myself, we are really able to narrow in on specific markets that work for you, specific investment properties that are going to best suit you and your portfolio. So we're going to go into specific examples tonight, but first and foremost, we are going to launch a quick poll here.
We love doing polls. It's just, you know, a great way to kind of get everybody's pulse on a few things. They are anonymous, so don't worry, we're not going to be embarrassing everybody. But the first question that we have is really like, what is the main goal that you have investing in real estate? So is it for cash flow? Is it for appreciation? A mixture of both, or really you have no idea, which is also perfectly fine. There's no wrong answers here. So we'll give you guys about 5 or 10 more seconds to choose which one you feel is really like the outcome you're looking for overall. And we'll share the results, but it's all anonymous. So give you guys a few more seconds to choose the option that you feel is best suited for you. All right, it looks like most folks have chosen their option by now. The other folks might be in the kitchen making dinner, perhaps. I'll go ahead and close it out. And looks like we have about 2/3 looking for a combination. About a quarter of you are looking for primarily cash flow, 7% looking primarily for appreciation. And apparently everybody knows exactly why they're on here tonight.
Perfect. makes our job a little easier. Okay, so we're going to launch right into a couple scenarios to review, and this is where we're going to get a little interactive here. So like I've been saying, and like I mentioned earlier, each and every one of us has a different situation we may be in life, different age, different profession, different amount of income. But the truth is, investing in real estate is accessible for almost everyone as long as they're planning properly. So we're going to look at a couple examples, and then we're going to talk about investment property and plans and portfolios that work best for the sample individuals that we're discussing. So first is Marshall Reddick client named Sherman. Sherman's background, so to speak, is listed right here in front of you. And this is all very important information, you know, that I'm looking to learn about you in our initial conversations and on a consultation to really understand what options are available to each and every one of you. So Sherman, for example, 30 years old, planned retirement is more than 20 years from now. Has $50,000 in savings, $50,000 in a savings account, a 740 FICO. He owns his primary residence, so has a little bit of real estate experience, but no investment properties yet. He is a W-2 aerospace engineer, makes a great salary, and he's single and has no children, no dependents. So what we're learning here, or what I'm learning here about Sherman, is that he's in a position to qualify for conventional financing, so he can leverage his investment. And if he can, certainly recommend it. We're still at historic lows in terms of interest rates. Doesn't have a ton of expenses. So has some savings, makes great income, will be working for a long time. Cash flow is not going to be as important to an investor like Sherman. What Sherman's going to be looking for is a steady, stable asset that's going to grow in value over time, that he can utilize later down the line as he's building his portfolio. And especially an individual like Sherman, who hasn't had rental property experience before, he's going to be looking for less units, essentially, for a single family home, most likely, right off the bat. Then later on down the line, can add multifamily property specifically into his portfolio. So based on conversations with Sherman, getting to know specifically where he is in his life and in his investing experience, we're able to really outline goals specific to Sherman. So he's looking for appreciation, like we had mentioned, because he doesn't need the cash flow right now. He just wants his money to work for him, to grow for him. A to B class investment property. The property rating ebook is going to best explain how to choose the property class specific to you, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that tonight, but essentially A and B class property appreciate the best. They're the best neighborhoods for appreciation. Sherman, because he has about $50,000 to invest, his max purchase price, especially with conventional financing, is going to be about $200,000. And given that he hasn't invested yet, you know, he's going to take his time and do some due diligence. So his goal is in 3 months to be in a position to acquire his first investment property. Now, looking at these scenarios here, you'll notice that there's markets of interest, San Antonio and Fort Myers, Florida. Now, how do we determine that? How do we determine which market is the best for myself, for each and every one of you, for our investment portfolios? Well, I'll show you. We have really neat tools here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate that help in evaluating investment property and markets as well. So this is one thing I like to do for many of my clients. It's creating a sample portfolio. Getting to know your goals, what you're looking for specifically, and then showing how, based on our conversations, what that translates to for your specific portfolio. So here we start with an A-class single-family home in San Antonio as Sherman's first investment property. And I wanted to start with the Excel sample portfolio because there's a hyperlink directly to the property that Sherman's going to acquire. And if you haven't been on our website yet, if you haven't looked at property, I really recommend it. There are some phenomenal tools directly on our website, and every property you can evaluate on our website very thoroughly, including local schools, including appreciation trends, and I'll show this briefly down here, the financial calculator. And this is all adjustable. So if Sherman determined that he wanted to put a higher down payment or a lower down payment, he could adjust that as well. And part of my job as your advisor is showing you exactly how to use our financial calculator, how to calculate the returns, and what all these financial aspects of this investment property mean. But I want to go back to the initial question we had just a moment ago, is how do you determine the investment property that makes the most sense to you? So because we know that Sherman is specifically looking for appreciation, what I would do on a consultation and in speaking with Sherman specifically would be first and foremost hopping on the website, taking the criteria that we had discussed and plugging it into the filters on our website and essentially seeing what we can get. So what we'll do here is we will leave all of our markets selected. You'll see all 16 of our markets are listed here, so you can review property in any market that you so choose. I always recommend only, especially when you're looking for property specifically to invest in, to only select, of course, available investment property. Contracted means it's in escrow, and sold means they've closed escrow. You can put in specifically a dollar amount for investment capital. You can put in your max purchase price, property type. All of these are filters you can adjust. So for Sherman, we said max investment capital of $50,000. Oh, I'm sorry. That would be more. Maximum $50,000. Max purchase price $200,000. Because he is just starting to invest, we want to stick with a single family home. And this essentially, as you can see here, the first market, the first types of properties that pop up in his criteria are in San Antonio. So this is one way together we're really able to identify investment property or we're able to identify a market that's going to fit your long-term and your short-term goals. And what I love doing also is to find the specific property that meets your criteria, especially if you're looking for the highest cash-on-cash return or the highest ROI, is you can actually sort the results you get by one of those metrics. So if you're looking for the highest return on investment possible, here you see another market that we had mentioned on the markets of interest for Sherman, Southwest Florida. So the first properties that come up, 20.9% annual ROI. We get into Kentucky. We'll talk a little bit about that market in a moment. But then we have San Antonio and more examples of San Antonio. So the markets of interest most specific to you as investors can be found by first setting up your criteria, identifying your budget, getting pre-approved for financing, allocating a certain amount, quantifying a return, all of which we do throughout our discussions that are very interactive and include different forms of communicating, email, text, phone calls, sending me property that you see and wanting to discuss, sending my thoughts back to you, and that ultimately helps us determine an investment property or market that's best suited for your individual criteria. So what I'll do here is I'll show you this as well, because like we had mentioned, your investment property portfolio, it's ongoing. So if your goal is to get your feet wet, acquire one single family home as a first investment property to your portfolio, together we can plan not only for the first one, but for the entire portfolio down the line. And we can look at how that's going to essentially play out in your portfolio from a quantifiable perspective, essentially, creating a sample portfolio that shows exactly the investment capital that you're going to need to allocate to the portfolio that you want to build. How much rental income is that going to bring in on an annual basis? What does that look like as a dollar amount after your fixed expenses are covered? What does that look like after your variable expenses are covered, maintenance and vacancy? Again, those are aspects of evaluating investment property that we're not going to go into so much detail about tonight, but is my job as your advisor to go over, and that's very clearly explained in our property rating ebook as well. So can't stress enough how much I would love for all of you to be able to access or simply request from me, so you can get all the knowledge and education that's featured in that book. So this is an example, fairly classic example that we just went through of essentially a first-time investor. But again, that's sorry, I clicked from the beginning rather than current slide. but that's just one scenario. We don't just work with beginners. We work with seasoned investors as well. So another scenario that I wanted to go over tonight. Scenario 2 is an investor named Jillian. She's 63 years old, has $300,000 in her savings account, 780 FICO. She owns a primary residence. She's a 1099 business owner. Her planned retirement is as soon as possible, and she is she's married. So you know, there are other individuals to consider in her investment experience. And this scenario, I want to look at a couple different ways, because this is not only a situation where the investor is close to retirement. Essentially, they're going to be needing, you can see here their planned retirement is as soon as possible. They're going to be needing to replace their income, or at least some of their monthly income as soon as possible. And so Jillian's goal in investing in real estate is going to be cash flow as opposed to appreciation, because she's retiring. She is not going to have steady income anymore. So Jillian's example, based on her current situation, we outline her goals, specifically cash flow, B or C class property. As you go down the property rating scale, you have properties that the rent to price ratio is higher, meaning the rent covers the fixed and variable expenses by a larger margin, and you have more passive income coming into your bank account every month. So the situation for Jillian can go a couple ways. Either it can be an investor who hasn't invested before and has a sizable amount of savings set aside to invest in cash flowing investments, or maybe they have an investment property with equity, and they invested previously for appreciation, but now they're in a position that they want to move that equity to investment properties that cash flow. So one tool that you can utilize as an investor is a 1031 exchange. And if you're eligible for a 1031 exchange, that's definitely something we'll talk about on our consultation, because you can move that equity from one investment property without paying capital gains into more to better suit your current goals, because of course life experience and situation change over time, and what you might be looking to accomplish today is going to change in 10, 15, 20 years. So Jillian wants to invest immediately. And the cool thing is that if you're doing a 1031 exchange, and Jillian's example, she's relinquishing a property, she has $500,000 she needs to spend to create a portfolio for cash flow. Well, again, we have a sample portfolio for Jillian where we're replacing about $500,000 in equity in investment property. Except now she's getting 2 Southwest Florida duplexes and a single family home in Clarksville, Oak Grove. And you can see here how that translates on the sample portfolio. Total down payment for this specific portfolio, all of the property currently on our website, just under $150,000 with closing costs and repair costs. We're talking just under $170,000. And then we can look at exactly how that translates into cash in your bank account. So from one 1031 exchange, from exchanging one property in Jillian's situation, she's collecting from this sample portfolio just under $62,000 a year in gross annual rent. After her fixed expenses are paid, her bank account on a yearly basis is seeing over $25,000. And then that's adjusted as well for variable expenses, because of course maintenance and vacancy are very real aspects of owning investment property, but in conversations with myself and working with Marshall Reddick and our team, we definitely talk about and implement ways to mitigate maintenance and vacancy risk as well. And so there's a few different things I want to highlight by sharing sample portfolios. A, that they're going to be different for everyone, but B, that they're a really great way to evaluate investment property and essentially take a look at what is possible for each and every one of you. So sample portfolios are going to be completely different for each individual. One last thing that I wanted to show you was we, of course, showed markets of interest again here in terms of Southwest Florida and Oak Grove, Kentucky. And you might be saying, well, how did you determine those markets specifically? And again, I take you back to the tools that we have available on our website that are there for you to utilize so you can determine the markets that are going to be the best fit. But essentially, again, Jillian's criteria, we can leave all markets selected. And really, even if we, one filter I will change, however, is only showing available property. But one of my favorite tools on our website is just sorting property by the metric that's most important to you. Of course, take a look at the snapshots here, but what you're seeing now is of all the property on our website, the properties with the highest cash-on-cash return, the properties where your return is the highest in the form of cash flow relative to your down payment. Funny enough, the first two properties are two properties that I included in Jillian's portfolio. I promise that was not planned. But in working with the filters and her budget, we're able to identify specifically the properties that make the most sense and the returns and how those returns translate based on her 1031, based on her criteria. So what happens next? Well, after we identify a market, after we identify properties, after we know exactly what you're looking for in terms of return, there's multiple steps that we need to implement. First and foremost is financing, especially if you're using conventional financing. We get you connected to our preferred lender at AmeriFirst Financial, Reed Hazard, direct lender, licensed in all of our markets. We've been working with him for over a decade, really a phenomenal member of our team, and I would say an asset in terms of investment property financing. However, not everyone is able to utilize conventional financing. Maybe you're investing with your retirement account. Maybe you already have more than 10 conventional loans, in which case you can utilize private financing, which we offer right here in-house at Marshall Reddick as a one-stop shop. Maybe you are utilizing cash. So you name it, whatever your how is for acquisition, we'll get that in order. Once we identify a market specific, you as the investor, myself as your advisor, and the regional rep in the market that we've chosen, all get on a three-way call. This is an aspect of your due diligence where you're able to speak with a local expert, our boots on the ground, a member of our team, asking the questions about the market, about specific properties, about the neighborhoods, about their experience, really knowing where you're going to be investing in real estate and who's going to be helping you do it. And once we discuss your criteria with the regional rep, you'll begin receiving properties specific to your criteria, because the regional rep will begin uploading those to the website and then sending them directly to you. And then we get to submitting an offer. Submitting an offer is not always the list price. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. It really depends on the market you're submitting, the type of property, what other homes have sold for, how many days the property's been on the market, the condition, inventory. There's a lot that goes into determining what a fair offer is for an investment property. But fortunately, you have multiple people in your corner to help you determine what a fair offer price is going to be, including myself, your advisor, and the regional rep, essentially your buyer's agent in that market. And of course, you'll be able to review a CMA, essentially a report on recently sold comparables to see that identical properties have sold for this much, therefore are worth this much, and helps you personally determine what a property is worth also. So then your offer is accepted. What next? Well, I always tell my clients, we do not just do our due diligence on the market, we do it on the property itself. And your offer, after it's accepted, is contingent on, well, there's multiple contingencies, but these are the two big ones that really protect you. It's your inspection contingency and your appraisal contingency. So there's a certain amount of time, depending on the market. It can be as little as 10 days, as many as 17 or 21 days, where you have time to do a home inspection, a roof inspection, sewer line, you name it, whatever's necessary, whatever's recommended by both myself, the advisor, whatever inspection you feel most comfortable with, whatever the regional rep advises, where we really get essentially a Carfax of the home to make sure that what we're buying is what we think we're buying, and we better understand our the systems and processes associated with the house itself. And this is a matter of doing our due diligence, not just on the market, but the home itself. And the appraisal is especially important if you're financing it. In fact, it's necessary if you're financing conventionally, because this is going to tell us what your property is worth. And a lender can only lend on a property that's worth what they're lending. So you can always back out or renegotiate if an appraisal came in low, if you were offering too much. And these are ways to protect you as the buyer and investor. And I cannot stress enough that these are not aspects of the process that you have to do alone. You get to work with an experienced, vetted, carefully selected team that's going to walk you through every aspect of this transaction, every inspection, go through it with you, the appraisal, explain how to read it, and those can be daunting tasks if you've never done them before, because there's a lot going on throughout the entire analysis and investment process. So after the escrow process, you close on your investment property, and
then comes the fun part, property management. So property management, I guess you could say, is the hands-on, tangible aspect of all this. And thank you, Daniel. You did a great job. I appreciate you bringing us all the way towards home base. There's a lot of ways to buy property, but I have found through years and years of experience that the best way to do it is to work with one team that helps you purchase the property and also does the property management. When you're working with a realtor at one firm who's specifically helping you just buy a property, most of the time that realtor may not be very familiar with the rental market, with property management in general, or what neighborhoods and what properties are good tenants looking for. Most realtors, 90% or more, primarily focused on the home buying process, the primary residence purchase of a home. Investment property, rental properties, very, very different niche within residential real estate. when you work with the same team that helps you purchase the property as your realtor and also does the property management, there's a lot more accountability involved for that team to not just sell you a property, but also sell you a great property in a neighborhood, in an area that is poised for long-term growth, that will attract a high amount of renters and really open you up to the largest rental pool possible. But you know, most renters don't know how to compare and figure out rent values. You know, they're not really sure how and what renters are looking for. So if you're working with a team that not just sells you the property, but also rents it out and manages it, they're on the hook to lease that property out and perform after the deal's closed, after the realtor's made their commission, is really just the kind of start of it. So our realtors are all specialized in working with investors. Very high amount of our sales are investment related. And our realtors work in the same office as our property manager, same office as our leasing agent. So all the properties on our website, when you go on our website, those are actually manually uploaded by our realtors in each market. Each one of our regional reps in each area has a back-end login to our website, which allows them to upload property. So we have properties that get uploaded to our website every single day across all 16 markets that we're in. And these are vetted, hand-selected properties. They're not necessarily Marshall Reddick listings. They're not, in most, 99% are not properties that we actually own. The other 1%, we do occasionally buy, fix, renovate, and sell properties in the Oak Grove, Clarksville, Tennessee market. But the large majority of properties on our website are going to be the same properties you would find on Zillow, Redfin, Trulia. It's just that our realtors in each market go through the full list of properties available in that market just to pick out a few here and there that make for great investment properties. Once an investor is looking at a property on our website, that property has already been through the vetting process of our property manager, who said, yes, this is a good market or a good neighborhood. We may already manage property in that area already. It kind of fits within the largest percentage of renters on the market. So we don't want to be selling properties that are 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom, or even 1 or 2 bedrooms. So you'll notice like all the single family homes are 3 to 4 bed, 2 to 3 bath, 2-car, single family detached homes, because that is what the largest group of renters in any market is looking to rent. It's also what attracts families who are long-term tenants. But a 5-bedroom home is, you know, not a very large market for that. We also don't have home properties with pools. So we stick with the lowest risk properties that are going to be easy to rent out, that'll stay rented, attract a good long-term tenant who's going to take good care of the property. So let me now start talking off of the slide that you've had in front of you and what our property managers do in each market. So in each one of our locations, we have segmented different property managers in each market that all are responsible for overseeing the tenant communication and the communication with our client, the landlord. So during the escrow process, once you've found a good property and an advisor like Daniel helps you kind of filter through and then connects you with our regional rep and you guys start going over properties together, once you submit an offer and get it into escrow, our regional rep is already starting to talk to you about how the whole property management process works. So you'll end up signing a property management agreement, and in there it states what all of the duties and responsibilities of our property management teams are, has the fees and pricing, and that contract is between us and you as the client. That contract gives us power of attorney to make different decisions on repairs and maintenance. It gives us the authority to enter a property once we get permission with the client. So it gives us the authority to act on behalf of the owner. Now, many properties that we sell are very high demand properties, and there's usually a lot of competition. Most of those properties are currently owner occupied, and just like most people do in a traditional scenario, they're selling their home and they're moving out of it. So the majority of the homes are vacant when we do close escrow. We do have some properties on our website that are already rented, but I'm going to go through the example of our kind of the common scenario where the property is vacant at closing. So once we close escrow on a property, our property manager is already communicating with our realtor, communicating with title and escrow to pick up the keys, and then do a walkthrough, usually within about 2 days, about 2 business days of closing escrow. So our property manager will actually walk the property after escrow is closed, and they'll put together a detailed punch list, we call it, of here's all the little knickknacks that are needed to get this property on the market for rent. Touch-up paint, patch and painting holes from nails, maybe just looking at every little detail possible. The cleanliness, so we're going to do a professional deep cleaning. Every property is different, so some properties may only require a small amount of work. Some may require like new flooring or maybe an entire new paint job. Generally speaking, most of the properties that we sell, that we target, need $5,000 or less of renovation costs. And you can find properties that need zero renovation or completely turnkey, anywhere from usually about $0 to $5,000 of initial fix-up costs. And as Daniel was kind of going through the examples, that's already listed on our website. It's an estimate from our realtor on how much fix-up costs are needed. So once we actually close escrow on a property, our property manager visits it, does a walkthrough, puts together a checklist of items needed for repairs. That then can get sent to the client, so the client has an idea of what's needed. They'll also send it to our contractor, and then they'll have our contractor kind of walk the property, and the contractor will put together a professional estimate on exactly what it's going to cost, and it's an itemized estimate, so our clients can see how much it may cost to replace light bulbs in the home versus caulking around a bathtub or a toilet. It could be putting new screens in the windows, anything you name it. Now, when you purchase a property, you're already going to have a home inspection done, so there really shouldn't be much surprise on the property manager's walkthrough. It's kind of just looking at any cosmetic stuff that maybe the building inspector didn't catch. So, stains on the carpet, different things that are more cosmetic. So once the owner agrees on the items that are needed for fix-up, they'll submit payment directly to our contractor, and the contractor will then start getting the property fixed up. Our property manager is communicating with the contractor and overseeing that process. We've already done a rental analysis, so all the properties are on our website. We're not just guessing on those rent numbers. We're not using Zillow's estimate. We actually do a rental analysis and provide comparable properties to support the suggested rent. Once the repairs and cleaning are done, we'll do photography and we'll post the properties for rent on all the major websites. Every property is assigned to a dedicated leasing agent. So all the ads go directly to one person who is commission-based, meaning they work nights and weekends, and they screen all of the calls and emails that come in for that property. So you're not going to have to field any phone calls or emails from any potential renters. That goes directly to our leasing agent. They screen the phone calls, ask questions like, when are you looking to move? How many people would be living in the property? Do you have any pets, et cetera, et cetera. And then if they pass the phone screening process, our leasing agent will set up a private showing and start to do tours of the property. Those prospects who are serious will apply directly on our website. They'll provide us with pay stubs, IDs, their employer, their income, their current residence, their previous residence. So we get all that information, and we do 5 different types of screening and background checks. We do a credit check, criminal background check, verification of income, verification of employment, and then also rental history verification. Once we have an application that passes all of our background checks, we will notify the owner and let them know that we've approved an applicant and would like to sign the lease. So we go through the lease process with the tenant. We fill it out, and in some cases we can sign for the owner, so the owner's name and information is not directly on the lease to keep the privacy of our landlords. We'll go through the entire process, so if they have pets, we'll charge them additional deposits. We go through all of the rules and regulations, no smoking, so on and so forth, and then we'll have the tenant sign the lease. We meet them there on the very first day to do a walkthrough. We have tenants pay online through ACH, so we'll have, between the 1st and 5th of every month, tenants paying their rent. That gets deposited into our trust account, and then right around usually the 15th of the month is when we will disperse rent, minus any expenses for maintenance, and along with our management fee, which is about 7 to 8% of the monthly rent. That depends on the market, but generally it's going to be either 7 or 8% of the monthly rent is what we charge for property management. We only charge that off rental income collected, not charged during a vacancy. And all of our clients get to log on to their owner portal to view their monthly statements, their yearly statements, tax return documents, invoices, receipts, all of it gets uploaded. So a lot of times we have people that ask, like, do I have to fly out to San Antonio? Do I have to fly out to Florida? Do I have to be there? How do I manage a property so far away? Well, it's safe to say that we have clients who are probably much, much further away than you guys are. We have owners and clients in Hong Kong, in India, in the UK, various parts of China, and many, many other places. We have owners in Costa Rica, most of the continents, I guess you could say, except for Antarctica. But
I'm sure a few of our clients
we'll get
to Antarctica.
Yeah, we haven't done any presentations out there yet. But we have clients all over the world. So it's a very, very virtual process. If you're intent on visiting the market, we can certainly help you do that. And we can set up a private tour with you and our regional rep in that market. Our only requirement is that you'd have to be pre-approved for financing so that we can determine the trip is not a waste of your time or ours. But essentially, if you want to, you can. However, 90% of our clients don't even visit the market. It's all done through many, many phone calls and emails, and a lot of research and due diligence. So that's sort of the process of property management. Generally speaking, if we price the property at our suggested rent amount, from the day that it's posted online for rent, large majority of our properties will rent within 30 days or less, at least from the time that we approve an applicant. But I guess I just want to expand and let everybody know those filters that Daniel was showing you on our website. So if you've used Zillow or Redfin before, you're probably familiar with how the filter options work. Our filters, you're going to find a lot more than most websites. That's because we're geared for investment purchase. So you're going to see those filters like Daniel showed you for rent amount, cash flow, cash on cash return, initial fix-up cost. So if you like data, if you like analyzing, I think that you're going to fall in love with our website because there's so many filters and ways that you can analyze properties. So yeah, that would definitely be a suggestion. I know Daniel talked about the Reddick rating ebook. And if you haven't read that yet, you absolutely have to. It's only 40 pages. Pure information, 100% knowledge and education based, but it will help you understand what property classes make sense for you, the difference between different property classes, why certain properties experience more or less maintenance and vacancy than others. And it's really like the starting point. We tell all of our clients, before you spend a lot of time on this, read the Reddick rating ebook. That way it'll give you kind of a basis and a foundation for how this whole process works.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. And one thing I just want to highlight too, especially, after that really great summary of the role of your property manager, is that Marshall Reddick, as your one-stop shop, we're not just here for the analysis of the market and the property, or just to help you buy an investment property, but really for the life of your investment experience. And property management is the most important aspect in the life of your investment property, because ultimately, after you work with your advisor on a transaction, your regional rep on a transaction, you finally have a property under your belt, you'll be communicating for a long duration, specifically with your property manager for the specific property you invested in. So really team-oriented, all work very closely together to help you, like I said, achieve short-term and long-term goals. So we have another poll for you guys. We'll go into it here. Next poll question. I am looking to add an investment property right now. In about 3 months, do a little bit of due diligence. In 6 to 12 months, so it's even more due diligence, at least a year. So we're getting ready now, but it'll be a little while, and some of us might not have an idea.
Thanks for participating, guys. We appreciate it. It's a fun little exercise, pretty painless, I hope. So we'll give you a few more seconds to fill that out, and then we're going to wrap up in just a few minutes. But we really appreciate all you guys staying on till the end. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Love doing events, live events, and webinars. So we'll go ahead and close up this poll here, and we'll share it. And it looks like most of you are looking to invest in just over 3 months. A quarter of you are ready to invest right now.
Like right now? Like right now?
Today.
Or right now?
At the end of this.
Those folks are expecting a phone call immediately after. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm available.
We're kidding.
Tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever you're
That's great. No, thank you guys. A lot of individuals look serious, like this is something that they've probably been researching already. So perfect.
All right. Well, thank you guys for participating in that webinar. I'm sorry, in that poll. A couple things just to share with you guys. All of our education here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate is free. Your hard-earned money and your capital should be allocated to the investment, not the education. So if you want to learn more about any of the markets that we're in, we have market data packets available on our website for you to access at no cost. The URL is right there below, but of course you can ask me to send me this information over to you as well. At marshallreddick.com/learn, we have all of our recorded webinars, market data packets, articles, really an encyclopedia of all there is to know in real estate. Again, accessible for you for free. Know who you're working with. You know, hop online, check out our Zillow reviews, our Yelp reviews, hear what other clients are saying about us. You know, and do your due diligence on the team you choose to work with to invest as well. And we're all over social media as well, so feel free to connect with us there. But one thing I do want to highlight, I want to speak with each and every one of you. I called the majority of you throughout yesterday and today as a reminder and introduction to the webinar, but you know, especially following the webinar, I'd really like to get to know more about each and every one of your specific goals in real estate and investing. And so there's a few different ways we can do so. You can go directly onto our website and schedule a consultation, or you can just email me, give me a phone call, or shoot me a text. And in fact, you are more than welcome, if you'd like to set up a call for tomorrow, to email me right now, or give me a text right now, and we can confirm a time tomorrow to hop on a call and really dive into a lot more detail about what you're looking to do and how we may be able to help.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We both really appreciate it. And like Daniel said, we're very hands-on people. It's a very consultative process. It's not an overnight process. There's a lot of communication back and forth. you're not the hardest client to work with, I promise. We've worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You probably won't ask the most amount of questions, even though you may think you will. We are here to work at everybody's pace, and that's partly why we asked just kind of a general sense of what everyone's time frame is. We're not on our time frame, we're on your time frame. And everybody works at a different pace. So our mentoring process is a somewhat, I guess you could say, informal process, where it's really just a series of phone calls and emails to help us point you in the right direction, to help us, to help you kind of progress down that process, make sure that we're steering you down the right path and answering a lot of questions along the way. So it all starts with that very first phone call. And I am excited that you guys have the opportunity to have a consultation with Daniel, because he's extremely knowledgeable. It's what he does day in and day out. He knows the markets. He's worked with hundreds of our clients. And so working with Daniel, you'll find somebody who is very well versed in advisement and helping every type of investor through this process. So more than anything, we want to thank you for being on the presentation, and we look forward to speaking to you guys more one-on-one, getting to know you a little bit better, and then building a long-term relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Scott, and thank you everyone for being on the webinar. Have a great evening, and then look forward to speaking and working with all of you.
All right, everybody, take care. Thanks again. Bye.